morning and welcome to Morning Movie News. Today, instead of a viewer question, I'm going to start out the episode by announcing the winners of the one-sentence review challenge for Transformers 4: Age of Extinction. Now yes, Transformers 4 hit theaters back in July, but just last week they released the Blu-ray and DVD for the film. And that Blu-ray is the first ever to feature Dolby Atmos technology for the sound. And Dolby is so excited about it, they gave me 3 copies of the Blu-ray to give away to you. Now, what is Dolby Atmos technology? I want to reiterate this, not only because they were nice enough to give us the Blu-rays, they gave me 1 and then 3 for you guys, but also because it's going to put some perspective on the winner of the one-sentence review challenge. There were 3, but the top one did a great job using the Dolby Atmos technology in their review. So Dolby Atmos technology allows a filmmaker to specifically play sounds within the theater. A dinosaur doesn't just roar behind you, it roars back left or back right or midway down the theater. And this is something they're already using in movies. For instance, Godzilla over the summer used Dolby Atmos sound technology, but now it's moving into the home theater space. And you can either have a Dolby Atmos sound system in your home, or even if you don't, it still is a heightened experience on the sound setup that you do have, even if it's just in your television. All right, so the 3 winners. The first one is Chase Lee. And Chase said, hashtag Dolby Atmos on the Transformers Blu-ray will make it sound better, and we will hear a Shia LaBeouf crying in the background. I think that was great because I love the idea that they can specifically place the cries of Shia LaBeouf back right while you watch Transformers. Or maybe he's really in the theater. He certainly has a lot of free time on his hands these days. But I thought that was a great joke. It was fun, and I think, again, it did a great job of bringing in the Dolby Atmos technology into the one-sentence review. So great job, Chase. You won a Transformers 4 Blu-ray, which I'll be sending to you in the mail shortly. Well, Dolby actually will be sending it to you, and you get first place in this fun little competition we got to have this past week. All right, so second place, Miguel Torres. And Miguel said his one-sentence review was Marky Mark and the Clunky Bunch. I thought that was really fun for obvious reasons, a good wordplay. A couple of people did a similar thing with Mark Wahlberg's name. Someone had the Wahlberginator, but I really liked the Clunky Bunch reference. I thought that was great. And then third place goes to Jesse James. And Jesse said, T4 is an action-packed Hollywood blockbuster. It has everything but the kitchen sink in it. And that was fantastic because it really did have everything stuffed into that film. So thank you so much to everyone who entered, and thank you once again to Dolby for providing the Blu-rays and thinking of Beyond the Trailer and all the BTT viewers. I hope you guys had fun participating, and we had a good time talking about Transformers 4 and remembering it from the summer. All right, so that's the first part of today's episode. Let's move on to the stories of the day. A little bit of a light news weekend, so I'm going to pick up some stories that I didn't get to discuss from last week. So starting out, Joaquin Phoenix is not going to be Doctor Strange. I bet Kevin Feige is so sorry he ever called up Joaquin Phoenix. This has been nothing but a giant headache. So we're going to talk about this from 2 different sides. First of all, that it didn't work out. And I think that's a real shame, because I saw Inherent Vice over the weekend. You can check out my review. And while I didn't love the movie, Joaquin Phoenix, of course, was brilliant in it. He's just a fantastic actor. He has so much charisma, and he's just the kind of actor that Marvel has always been looking for so far. He really will elevate the material. He brings a great level of acting skill to it, and also, some prestige. I think that they really have been able to elevate the comic book movie by the talent they've been able to attach to these films. And he just would have been a perfect choice. So I think it's really unfortunate that things didn't work out. Now for Feige, how could this not possibly have worked out? I think that's just stunning. We'll talk about that in a moment. That'll be the next topic. But for Feige, the reason I said this was kind of an embarrassment is, the story broke that they were entering negotiations right before Comic-Con, as you might recall. I made a video about it. It was very exciting, but I had some concern that Joaquin Phoenix just wasn't enough of a team player to, play in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is not only being in a bunch of different movies, but doing a bunch of different publicity events. And that just doesn't really sound like Joaquin Phoenix, does it? And then, sure enough, he didn't sign on in time for a Comic-Con announcement. And so that was, I thought embarrassing. But you know what? Guardians did so well, I thought we can forgive Joaquin Phoenix, come back on board, be Doctor Strange. And apparently these conversations were still taking place. But then last week they fell apart. And the fact that that was a headline and that was leaked to the press is just amazing. I wonder which side leaked it. Was Marvel trying to embarrass Joaquin Phoenix, being like, look at the dumb mistake this guy just made? Or was Joaquin Phoenix trying to say, hey, you know what, I'm in the market for a comic book movie. This one didn't work out. I am a little picky, but I'm game. So if anyone else has an offer for me out there, let's hear it. You know, Fox and DC. And I think somebody should consider snapping him up if he can be corralled. But you know what? I don't think that Inherent Vice is going to be quite the bolt of lightning that Paul Thomas Anderson and Phoenix hope it will be. So maybe this is the perfect time for him to make a blockbuster film. He did so well in Gladiator, correct? So we'll see. Now the last part of this this discussion on this topic is, what's wrong with this role? Why does nobody want it? Why would Joaquin Phoenix walk away from it? It's called Doctor Strange. If anyone should play Doctor Strange, it's Joaquin Phoenix. It's a great cinematic universe to play in. They're at the top of the box office. They have a very talented group of people working there in front of and behind the camera. And it's really the thing to do these days, to be in a comic book movie. Now, some people think maybe it's the script, but I don't think that's the case. Scripts can be rewritten. What I think is the real breaking point here, that's the problem, is Scott Derrickson. And that's, of course, the director they've signed on to the project. And sure enough, the person who's now in talks is Ethan Hawke, because he and Scott Derrickson have a relationship. Derrickson directed him in Sinister. So I think the fact they've fallen down to Ethan Hawke, who is a very nice, a very nice guy, a respected actor, a team player for sure, but still not really who you would expect to headline a Marvel movie. It's either supposed to be someone who's a very prestigious actor or a new discovery. Not, Ethan Hawke or Patrick Wilson. Is he going to get the next call? It doesn't seem like a fit to me with the material. And when you pair up, the Sinister team and stick them on Doctor Strange, does it really just seem like another Sinister-esque movie? Is it going to be able to get the hundreds, if not close to $1 billion or billions of dollars that Marvel movies have come to regularly gross? So I think it's Scott Derrickson. I think Joaquin Phoenix was like, look, I can work my magic for Doctor Strange. Haha, get it? But I just have no faith in Scott Derrickson backing me up. And, someone could say, well, what about James Gunn? James Gunn, of course, came out of nowhere, from Trauma Entertainment, the lowest of the low in terms of common denominators for entertainment, and he just blew it out of the water. He did a fantastic job. Even though I didn't like the film, you have to respect the success that it's enjoyed, and that a number of people really do enjoy Guardians of the Galaxy quite a bit. So wouldn't Scott Derrickson be another James Gunn? I say no, because James Gunn, at the very least, you have to hand it to him, has a very distinct creative voice. He is definitely going to make definitive decisions. Whereas Scott Derrickson, I think of the work that he's done so far, I think most notably Sinister and Deliver Us from Evil, none of that really stood out. None of that had a strong creative voice. I mean, he can make standard horror films, I guess. He can get the job done. Woo, yay, not really. And obviously Joaquin Phoenix wasn't waving a flag to that because he walked away. So I think as long as Scott Derrickson is there, positioned with that film, there's going to be a problem in signing their talent. So the question is, do they pull another Edgar Wright and be like, see you, Derrickson? And also, they're so close to production, but, so was Ant-Man, and that seems to be maybe working out after all. What would you do if you were Marvel? Would you say, I believe in Scott Derrickson, and people just have to understand and learn that we know what we're doing when it comes to picking talent, and trust us, and just go with it and put it all on Derrickson, and hopefully they can get a good lead actor? Or if you were Marvel, would you say, Derrickson, I'm so sorry, but nobody wants to work with you, and Doctor Strange is a very important part of our cinematic universe. So, call us, we're friends, see you at parties. We know I believe Derrickson is friends with that group of Derrickson and Gunn, so I guess they'll be seeing him. But I think Kevin Feige can stand a little awkwardness. He can just build a little wall of money at the party. All right, so that's the first story of the day. Now, the second story of the day is an interesting one that also broke late last week, and that's that Dracula Untold is supposedly the beginning of Universal's monster cinematic universe. The one they've been talking about for quite some time now. It's going to talk about, Dracula, Frankenstein, The Mummy, maybe The Invisible Man, all those classic horror monster films from Universal. They want to make a new cinematic universe, so, of course, eventually leading up to a crossover, a.k.a. Hotel Transylvania. No, but, more serious and adult. Although Hotel Transylvania is a fantastic animated film. I'm very excited about the sequel. If you haven't seen Hotel Transylvania, go check it out. I think it's easy to write it off as just another, non-Pixar, non-Disney, non-DreamWorks animated film. It's from Sony. But when you see it, you can see, I think it's Genndy Tartakovsky, the animation director, he did just such a wonderful job. He really commits to it and has so much invested in it. It's really impressive. Very, very, very good animated film. But anyway, let's hope Universal can find as much success. Now, I think this is an interesting choice. Now, of course, Dracula Untold has amazing buzz online. This trailer is crazy hot. Everyone's very excited about it in this space. I don't know how it's going to do overall at the box office. You know, sometimes we get excited about things here on the internet and it doesn't really quite carry over to the general public, which is what you need to have a really big, successful film. So we'll see how Dracula Untold does, but I would say that there's a little bit of lack of fanfare for it. It's an October release. It doesn't really seem like, you know, the big first stepping stone to a cinematic universe. Now, of course, Iron Man, you know, that was a summer movie, but it wasn't a huge movie. But still, when they released Iron Man, they didn't say, hey, everybody, we're making a whole bunch of these movies, so maybe you should start going now. Instead, they just saw how Iron Man did, and then they slowly, behind the scenes, built their cinematic universe. Until one day they were like, hey, look what we did. Pretty awesome. And everyone's like, yes, I agree. That's amazing. So I would say that Universal should have done the same. In their minds, if they wanted to say, this is our first movie for our cinematic universe for monsters, fine. But I wouldn't have told the general public. And they didn't really make a formal announcement. This was a producer on the red carpet out in the UK, and she's the one who said it. And maybe they were like, why do you do this? This is why we shouldn't let producers on the red carpet if they're not, you know, they haven't been given the rundown by the publicist. But I just think that it's a mistake to let it out there, and we'll see. I mean, do you think this seems like a good start to a cinematic universe? Do you have faith in this? And do you think that this version of Dracula is what Universal should stick with for like a decade? I mean, these cinematic universes are supposed to be built to last. Some of them don't, but they're supposed to be. So we'll see. I'm really iffy on this, and as I said, I think it should have been kept, you know, behind the scenes at the studio until they saw what the numbers were for Dracula Untold. I will say that while it looks like a fun movie, and I'm very happy that everyone's so excited about it, and it does look like it's good, I don't think it has quite the heightened production values in terms of production design, costume design, you know, camera choices in terms of movement, etc., that you would expect from something that's in a cinematic universe. Although neither did Iron Man, right? So we'll see. All right, so that's the second story of the day. Now the third story of the day is a fun one, and I was trying to fit this in on Friday, but there was too much news on Friday, so I'm able to fit it in today. The Hollywood Reporter published a list of salaries in the entertainment industry. This is fascinating, and I love it for two reasons. One, I love transparency. I really like being able to see what everybody is earning and just things in general. I like just to know what's going on. So I like pulling back the curtain. It's important for us to know how Hollywood works. Then the other thing I love about this, as I often say on this show, is I really want to encourage people to try different careers in Hollywood. You don't have to be an actor, a director, or a writer, etc. Even, you know, there's editor, and people think about screenwriter, those as well. But there are tons of jobs that can make you not only a part of Hollywood and the movies that you love, but can, you know, give you quite a rewarding lifestyle. You know, really provide for you quite well. So I wanted to just highlight some of the most interesting categories here, you know, for salaries. And these are the high range. This is like what you can make at most. You know, and they tell you the full range in the list in the article. So I put a link down below if you want to go and check that out. And if you're considering a job in entertainment, you're not quite sure what you want to do, I highly recommend you look at this list to not only give yourself some ideas, but a realistic idea of what you're getting yourself into. All right, so what are the really particularly interesting ones that I thought were worth mentioning here on the show? Agents. An agent can make up to $10 million a year. These are all annual salaries. I was amazed that an agent can make that much money. And that's from percentages. They said, for instance, Johnny Depp's agent makes $9 million a year. So that's a great field to go into. And of course, you're a big part of the Hollywood process when you're an agent these days because the studio system is gone. So you're packaging films for studios and taking them fully completed projects. So, you know, it's almost like being a little bit of a mini producer, but none of the headache of having to actually make the movie. You just kind of get to do fantasy Hollywood and then go and make other people put it into effect. And you get paid a lot of money to do it. Then next, an entertainment lawyer. One of you have actually recently asked a question about entertainment law, so I hope you're watching today. The salary for that is anywhere from $2 to $6 million. That's really impressive. Now we hear a lot of talent getting in trouble in the news these days in particular, and someone has to defend them, and that's how much they earn. Again, this is the high end of it, but, you know, this is another salary that can, you know, be very rewarding. If you're not skilled in some of the other areas that are more commonly known, you can have a great career and have all the Hollywood glitz and glamour that people associate with the industry by being a lawyer there. All right, next, this is really surprising. A stunt person can make up to $1 million a year. Now, of course, one of the reasons they get paid so much is because of the risk that's involved, so keep that in mind. But I'm also glad to see that they're being rewarded, compensated fittingly for taking that risk. So I think that's a really encouraging bit of information. So that's one way to go. And we'll see how much longer stunt people are around. That might be another reason they get paid so much, is because the profession's dying out because of the advancements of visual effects. They don't need stunt people as much, so there's probably not as many people who are available. So laws of supply and demand. All right, then next, a publicist, and this isn't a studio publicist. This is an independent publicist. If you don't know, there are two different types. One is someone who works within the studio promoting their movies for them. The other is an independent company that represents talent and manages them even when they're not working with a studio. For instance, let's say Jennifer Lawrence. The photos come out, leaked FBI photos. Her publicist is all over that. Not a studio publicist, but her personal publicist. And as you can see, they have a lot more to do and a lot more writing on the line. That's why they can make up to $400,000 a year. So that's excellent. And those are also based, there are publicists in New York, Los Angeles, and there's even a very big publicity house down in Austin. So that's something you can do in different parts of the country. Next, a private chef. Maybe you like to cook? Well, you can be part of Hollywood too. A private chef can make up to $200,000 a year. Now, a private chef, people in Hollywood, they have to look the part. And it takes a tremendous amount of control, and they don't always have that control. So they have a chef come in and prepare all their meals for them. You not only do it during that person's off time, but you'll come to set and prepare the food on their vacations, so you get free vacations out of it as well. And it's to really make sure that the actor stays in shape and doesn't cheat on their, what they're supposed to be eating. So that's a very well-paid job. Then next, a makeup artist could make $100,000 a year. That's a great profession. I think it's a lot of fun to do. You get to, of course, meet a lot of people, be on set, and make a very nice living doing so. So that's something to consider. And then trailer editor. We talk about trailers all the time here on this channel. Well, a trailer editor can make up to $81,000 a year. So you like watching trailers? Well, you can get paid to cut them yourself. So that's just a snapshot of some of the professions that are highlighted in that article and the salaries that go along with them. Again, I highly recommend you check it out, just for fun, even if it's just for fun. And thank you so much for tuning into the episode today. Please write down what you think of today's top 3 stories. Transformers 4, Age of Extinction, if you bought the Blu-ray maybe on your own. And then also what you'd like to see covered tomorrow and any questions that you might have. Thanks for watching. Bye.